In this video, I want to teach you how to drive a motorbike. What's up, Rad family? I'm Dakota Freeman and welcome to the Rad Adventure Dude channel. It's going to be very important that when we want to learn how to drive a motorbike, that we learn how to use all the controls properly. We're going to need to learn how to use the clutch to get the bike started and to stop the bike. And we really need to learn how to corner properly so that way we can continually improve when we're riding on our motorbikes. So the 5 controls that we're going to have on our motorbike are going to be a throttle, a clutch, a gear shifter, a front brake, and a rear brake. These 5 controls are what we're going to use when we're riding on our motorbike to get the most control and handling out of our bike. So let's go ahead and cover these 5 controls, where they're located, and how to use them properly. The throttle is going to be used by a twist grip. All we do is twist the throttle, and that's going to actually be how we accelerate on our dirt bikes. The clutch is what we're going to use to be able to pull the lever in, and that's going to free up our gears, allowing us to shift our gears on our motorbike. Our gear shifter is going to be located by our left foot, and that is going to be how we actually shift up and down through the gears. Our front brake is going to be located on the handlebars by our throttle, and that lever is what we're going to use to engage our front brake so we can bring the bike to a stop in the best way possible. And our rear brake is going to be located by our right foot, and all we do is tap this lever down, and that's how we're going to engage our rear brake. When we're first starting to learn how to ride a motorbike, we really want to make it as simple and easy as possible. We really want to make sure that we learn in a very easy to ride location, so this way it gives you the best opportunity when learning how to ride a motorbike. Now that you know all the controls and you're ready to get riding on your dirt bike, we need to learn how to use our clutch. The clutch is what we're going to have to use whenever we want to shift our gears. So before we even get started on riding our motorbike, we need to know how to use our clutch. The way that we use our clutch when we're first starting out on our motorbike is going to be to always let the throttle off and then pull in your clutch. Now that you have your clutch pulled in and your throttle off, you can use your left foot to actually shift through the gears. Shifting down into first gear is what we're going to have to do when we're first starting on our motorbike to get it rolling into motion. So now that we let the throttle off, we pulled in our clutch, we shifted down into first gear, we're going to have to now release our clutch until we feel a point of motion. You're going to feel this point of motion when you let the clutch out and it begins to engage with the gears. That engagement is actually going to start pushing the dirt bike forward, and at this point we really want to use our throttle to raise our RPM level on our motorbike, and that way we can continue releasing the clutch nice and smoothly with the RPMs high enough to where we can actually get rolling on our dirt bike. The reason this happens is when we're first letting our clutch out, our RPMs are at a low point in our gear. To actually get rolling on our motorbike, we need to raise the RPM level so we can continue releasing our clutch and it doesn't stall our motorbike. Depending on if you're on a 2-stroke or a 4-stroke, this is going to be a little bit different. A 2-stroke is really going to want a lot more throttle and to almost rev the bike before you even attempt to let the clutch out. This will raise the RPM level, and this is going to make it a lot easier for you to get your 2-stroke rolling into motion. On a 4-stroke, you're going to notice this is a little bit easier because you're going to let the clutch out to that point of motion, and at that point of motion, you just simply add a little bit of throttle, and adding that little bit of throttle and continually slowly releasing the clutch is how you're going to get your 4-stroke going into motion. So when you're first learning how to ride a motorbike like this is going to be a very challenging part. We're going to really need to focus on this and really master how to use our clutch and our gears and our throttle to get the bike going into motion. Practice this over and over, even by using the clutch, driving 10, 15 feet, and then stop the motorbike. Then practice again, releasing that clutch and getting the bike rolling again. So continually practice this over and over, and you're going to watch this frustration disappear. You're then going to learn how to master your clutch and let it out with the throttle without even having to think about it. So now that we're driving on our motorbike, we're going to need to learn how to use our gears to actually shift up and down through the gears. When we're shifting our gears like this, we are going to be using our throttle, our clutch, and our gear shifter just like we were at the beginning. However, now that we're rolling and have momentum behind us, it's actually going to make it easier to go through and shift our gears. We're not going to have to worry about letting the clutch out with the throttle simultaneously. We're only going to have to focus on releasing our throttle, pulling in our clutch, making our gear shift up or down with the gear shifter, then releasing our clutch and returning to the throttle when we're ready. This is going to be a huge part of becoming the best rider you can be, because whenever you begin to shift your gears up and down, you can get into the higher gears with more top speed. You can then downshift to the lower gears and get more acceleration out of your motorbike. And this is truly what you're going to have to master and be able to develop your ears to listen to the bike and know the RPM level to where you know exactly when you need to shift your gears. Let me explain this in a little bit better detail. So, whenever we are first starting out on our dirt bikes, we're going to be in a lower gear. As we accelerate, we're going to hear the RPMs of the motorbike actually get raised very quickly. When the RPMs start to go up to the top of the power band, we really want to make sure to shift up in our gears, returning the RPM level back to the bottom of the next gear range, giving us a whole nother gear to go through before we run out of power. When you begin developing this skill when you're riding, it's going to make you so much better, and you're going to have so much more confidence when you're riding. Being able to get into these higher gears actually have a much more mellow acceleration because it's in a higher gear, which is a gear ratio more tuned for top speed and not acceleration. Where when we first started in first gear, it's only tuned for acceleration, which makes the throttle kind of aggressive. So being able to shift up through the gears and get into our higher gears is truly how we learn how to drive our motorbikes in the best way possible. So you're going to continually do this on your motorbike as you shift up through the gears. Every single time you're going to release the throttle, pull in the clutch, and then go through and perform your gear shift with your gear shifter. And then you're going to want to release your clutch and get back on the throttle. Now that we're ready to go back down in our gears, we're going to kind of do the same thing. However, we're going to be able to listen to the dirt bike as it's going to do the opposite effect now. As we go down in our gears, the RPMs are going to go from a lower point to a higher point, and when you make this downshift, you're going to begin to feel the engine brake engage as well. This is going to be another difference between 2-strokes and 4-strokes, because a 2-stroke is not going to have an engine brake like a 4-stroke. And a 4-stroke has so much torque behind it that when you do downshift like this, you really need to think about it, because it's going to want to push your body weight forward on the dirt bike. So we really want to practice this so we can develop better skills when we're downshifting, so you know exactly what your bike is going to do. So the same thing applies. We want to make sure to let the throttle off. We want to pull in our clutch and then downshift using our foot to shift down with the gear shifter. As soon as you release the clutch, you're going to feel this new gear engage, and the RPM level is going to get much higher in the gear range. This is totally normal, and you really want to use this gear with your brakes to help slow the motorbike down. Practice downshifting like this, listening to the RPM level, and allow the bike to slow down and have the RPM level go down a little bit before you do another gear shift, shifting down again. If you shift down too many times before you slow the bike down, it's actually going to skid the back wheel, and it can almost get the back end to slide a little bit. And that's really not what we're trying to do unless we're really aggressively coming into a corner. So to not do that, we want to make sure that we're focusing on shifting down one gear at a time, releasing our clutch, using our brakes to help slow the bike down, and then make another downshift to continue doing this as well. The next thing I want to go over is going to be more in depth on our braking. Our braking is going to be a huge part of learning how to drive a motorbike, because we really need to know how to slow down when we're learning. The most important part of this is going to be using our rear brake if you're new to riding, and then once you're getting better, you want to focus on using more front brake to really increase your braking speed. So if you're new, focus on using your right foot and using that rear brake to kind of drag the bike to a stop. When you use your rear brake like this, make sure that you pull your clutch in so that you don't stall the motorbike, and that could bring the bike to an abrupt halt, and that's not what you're trying to do here. You really want to focus on pulling in that clutch, using your rear brake, and slowly bringing the bike to a stop. And then once you get comfortable using your rear brake like this to stop the bike, let's go ahead and jump into using our front brake with our rear brake to actually help you bring the bike to a stop even faster. When using the front brake, however, you want to focus on being safe. The front brake's pretty aggressive, especially for newer riders who aren't used to it yet. So when you are using your front brake, make sure that you always have your front wheel pointed in a straight line. If your wheel's turned and you grab your front brake, it's actually going to want to lock up that front wheel and put you on the ground. And this is not what we're trying to do here at the beginning. That's why I focus on the rear brake as a beginner. And now that you're wanting to become better at stopping your bike, then we're going to focus on using our front brake. So keep that front wheel pointed in the direction you're going, and then also feather your front brake. Never feel like you really need to grab a handful of front brake, as this is sure to lock up that front wheel. And all you have to do is simply just use your fingers, feather that brake, and you're going to feel where it begins to engage with that front tire. And then once you develop knowing exactly where that point is on your lever, you're going to get naturally better at this over time. And then once you really want to learn how to stop the bike in the fastest way possible, you're going to want to focus on using your front brake, your rear brake, and downshifting in the gears all at the same time to become the best at stopping your motorbike. Stopping is going to be a huge part for any rider out there, because a lot of the times things are coming at us and we have to react to it pretty quickly. So developing good skills with your braking can really help save you out on the roads, tracks, trails, or wherever you like to ride your motorbike. If this video is already helping you learn how to drive your motorbike with gears, make sure you like this video, drop some comments down below, and ask me any other questions that you have. So now that we know how to start on our motorbike, we know how to shift gears up and down on our motorbike, and we know how to use the brakes to bring the bike to a stop, how do we go through and corner the best way possible on our motorbike? Well, the best way to learn how to corner is going to be to simply have a wide open area that you have plenty of space. Then you're going to want to practice on leaning your bike over a little bit while you put a little bit of turn on the handlebars. And that is what's really going to help you make big, wide corners and truly learn how to corner on your bike. And then as you get comfortable with cornering on these big, wide corners, you want to focus on learning how to corner sharper and sharper. The way that we corner sharper on our motorbikes is going to be to lean the bike over to the inside. As we're leaning the bike over to the inside, we don't necessarily want to lean with the bike. We want to focus on leaning the bike to the inside, using our upper body to help drive that to the inside, while we counterbalance the bike by leaning to the outside and really have a good force over the bike to help drive it to the ground. You're going to develop this skill more over time, and simply here at the beginning when you're learning how to drive your motorbike, you just want to focus on learning how to barely lean it over and use your handlebars to have good control over your bike. And then as you're wanting to develop better cornering and to corner sharper, then you're going to want to focus on using your body weight to really drive the bike down to the ground and lean it over farther and farther. The farther you lean your bike over, the sharper your turning radius will become, and then you can turn much sharper, much faster. So learning how to corner in a wide open area with big wide corners is going to be the best way to learn. And then focus on leaning the bike more to the inside to where you can corner sharper and sharper over time. So as you can see, learning how to drive a motorbike with gears isn't going to be as hard as you think. It is going to take a little bit of time and practice, but I guarantee you it's going to be worth every single step along the way. And the places we can go once you learn how to ride your motorbike is going to be the best part. So just know that every time that you go ride on your motorbike, you're going to become a better and better rider, and you're going to exponentially get better over time. Now that you know how to do all that on your motorbike, I want to focus on a few basic riding position tips just to take your riding to the next level. The most important part of learning how to drive a motorbike is going to come down to learning these controls and learning how to use them all properly. Then once you're cornering the right way, now we can use our body position to get the most handling, the most traction, and control out of our motorbikes possible. When we're sitting on our motorbike, we always want to sit in a good centralized location. We want our back nice and straight, and we want our head forward over the handlebars. You always want to make sure that your elbows are up and never down by your side. This is going to give you a tremendous amount of leverage over your handlebars, giving you so much more control out of your bike. And then having your body weight a little bit more forward to centered on the bike is just going to make sure that you keep your front wheel on the ground whenever you're accelerating as well. So, and this is a good way to learn as a new rider. And then once you get better and want to develop better skills, you're going to want to learn how to use your body weight to shift back when you're going down straightaways, forward when you're coming into a corner, and that is going to be when you can really take your riding to the next level. So focus on this basic riding technique, as it's really going to help you improve your riding. And if you're a new rider, instilling these good habits into your riding now will make you the best rider you can possibly become. Instilling good habits into your riding at the beginning to where later you're no longer going to have to think about these, and you're going to have a ton more control over your motorbike. I'm really proud of you for learning how to drive a motorbike in the safest way possible. Make sure if this video helped you like this video, drop some comments down below, and ask me any other questions that you have. If you're still looking for more dirt bike riding tips, I'm always here. I've made a full dirt bike riding course over on my website. It's going to walk you through being a complete beginner and take you to an advanced rider mastering the tracks and trails. I also give away a free dirt bike guide over on my website. All you have to do is sign up for the newsletter and I'll send it straight to you. If you haven't clicked the subscribe button yet, make sure you click that and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future dirt bike riding tips. After that, you can watch my next video right here. Stay rad, and I'll see you over there.